Here's a short informal lesson on some tool tips that can make your planning and layout sessions more efficient. We're going to look at grouping, ungrouping, map labels, stacking overlapping objects with the Arrange tool, and using layers to isolate non-exhibitor items from your booth inventories. Every layout starts out as what we call a pod, whether it starts out as a group of 2 booths or 100 booths. At first, for convenience sake, we refer to any object on the planner as a booth. When you see the blue dots around the entire group, then the pod is active and can be moved as a group. Double-clicking a booth in a pod allows you to control the individual booths. But I almost always ungroup booths as soon as I can to make the individual placements and edits easier and quicker. Right-click the pod with your mouse to choose Ungroup. And temporary groupings of a selection of booths, particularly with a group of really small booths to adjust placement, saves time and unnecessary zooming in and out. And you just ungroup if needed. Again, right-click and then choose Group. Adjust the placement of the group of booths, and then right-click to ungroup again before adjusting each individual booth for your planning. The next tooltip is how to make a map label. We're going to label a booth, and then in the right-hand customization panel, go to the Style section, uncheck Fill and Line, which leaves us with just the label as visible. Adjust the font size with the text section, and even resizing the booth will control whether the text is on one line or several lines. The next tooltip. Sometimes we put booths on top of other booths. Maybe it's because we have a tent or another temporary structure's outline that we want to show other objects within that outline. Depending on the order that the different objects were created, it may end up hiding the objects we want in the foreground behind our outline tent or other structure. If we use the Layers tool, we can stack the order of our layers, and it does put one object's visibility over another. But in this case, we want the configuration all in one layer, so we have the option of grouping it all as one. I've made our tent shape here semi-transparent, so we can see how the booths that should be on top are actually hiding behind that tent shape. And here's where we go to the top line of tools. Click on Arrange, and with the tent shape active, click to Back to force it behind the booths laid out inside the tent. Now, if you apply the type of label we have looked at today to an area on the map, an object, or a group, you don't want to include it in that group. And in fact, you want to keep your labels on a separate layer. This is because if it's on the same layer as your booth layout, it will be counted in the booth inventory and listed as such in the inventory spreadsheet. So we aren't talking about labels as applied directly to booths using the Booth Control tool. To create a new layer for those general labels, open your Layers tool. It's the farthest icon on the right at the top of your screen. Click the plus sign to add a layer. Double-click on the new layer to rename it. If you didn't make a dedicated layer in advance, make your label active. In the Layer tool, click the icon that looks like a rectangle with a down arrow and check the layer you want to send that object to. You can turn that new layer on and off just to confirm that it's on the correct layer. Many of our clients plan everything on one layer and do just fine. But if your planning contains lots of different categories of event setups, this keeps your inventory accurate and non-inventory objects under control. And usually the non-inventory object layers are stacked below the layers for your main setups. And if you have any questions, requests, or feedback, don't hesitate to call, text, or email me. Thanks so much.